because I'm finding that the learning process is hard, but it's easier
Yeah.
than the implementation process,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's so good that you would bring that up, because I think everybody can resonate with at some point in your life. I know I can. Being concerned about showing up in a certain way or proclaiming a certain thing because you're like, I don't know that I'm really lined up with that.
Hello, Angel Santiago here. I'm with a great friend of mine. This is Jodi, Carnley, Penrod. And if you followed my journey, if you follow her journey, you know that for many years we did many videos together and worked together. And so this is sort of like a little reunion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's already been so good.
I know we've
We're like way past our time.
we're way past our time. We could have done a video of the conversation that we had.
That's what
already.
we should have done.
Right.
And we would say that every time we get together.
know.
You know what? We should just have a camera rolling while we're talking.
It is what
Ah,
it
well.
is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do this video just sort of connect, see kind of where we are today in our lives, and as we were kind of talking, we were kind of saying like, we spend so many, because it was every Thursday, right? Every Thursday we would do like a Facebook Live, and we would talk about so many things: awareness, spirituality, relationships, being responsible, growth, transformation. We talked about so many things, and then all of a sudden our lives took different directions because that's what life does, and it has to happen for our own journeys to continue to evolve and grow, right?
Unfold.
And then I just sort of, I gotta be honest, I got into a relationship, and it's an amazing relationship in every aspect with all the ups and downs, but I felt a little unauthentic. I was like, I can't keep doing these videos.
Oh, wow.
I felt a little bit like an imposter,
Really?
honestly.
Dang.
Because I was like, I need to make sure that everything I've learned,
Oh, yeah.
that I can put it into practice. You know what I'm saying?
I totally get it. I totally get that.
The awareness is there, the lessons are there, the theories there, the concepts are there.
Yeah.
But like, in fact, I saw a post recently that says a spiritual transformation doesn't happen when you're sitting there meditating. It happens when you're in the middle of conflict, when you're angry, when you're jealous, when you're resentful, when you're arguing, when you're in conflict. That's when you have the spiritual transformation, when you get to implement all this stuff and you get to make a different choice, right? And so, I don't know, what do you have to say about that? I mean, because I'm finding that the learning process is hard, but it's easier than the implementation process.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so good that you would bring that up, because I think everybody can resonate with at some point in your life. I know I can. Being concerned about showing up in a certain way or proclaiming a certain thing because you're like, I don't know that I'm really lined up with that. And hopefully you've had like, that's the best thing in the world. Honestly, it's like there's an aspect that's like, oh well, don't judge yourself so harshly.
Right.
And yet there's an aspect of, no, it's excellent for you to actually be in a space, and for me to be in a space where it's like, when we come up against something and we want to show up in the world to be like, what is my highest display of integrity here? Because you're saying like, I was concerned about being inauthentic. Well, there is that little voice, that sometimes rambles on and is like, you're not this, you're not that, you're not this, you're not that. So there's that voice that we don't want to pay attention to and give credence to or energy to. And then there's that other side of us too, that's the soul part of us that's calling us into this higher place of alignment. So it's like, having it is a way to push us into that space of going, let me go walk it out. Let me go walk it out, because here you are doing your coaching, and I've stepped out into a bigger space of coaching and working with people, and so this is a big thing that comes up for me all the time. It's like, and it's always been a thing for me too. Why? Because I was raised in situations and around things where it's like, people will stand in leadership, yet their life wasn't always demonstrating the things that they were bringing to the people. And I realize now that it wasn't because they're bad. It's not because those people are bad. What do they say about the healer and the teacher and the coach? They're the ones who need the work the most.
Yeah.
That's why they're teaching. That's why they're bringing it. So
and if you really
the
want to
secret's
learn
out,
it,
guys.
if you really want to learn it, you teach it.
You teach it, right? And unless you can teach it, you haven't really learned it.
That's it.
And so it's like, it's so good for you to have had that conversation with yourself and realize, I want to know if I'm really being my most authentic self, and then taking everything that you learned and bringing it forward in your life, because that's the real work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the hardest work, I think, to do, because it's easy to learn concepts.
Right.
Like, we could become, consummate and just avid students where we're just like in the learning all the time, and we're walking around with all these major concepts in our life, never really knowing what it feels like to live that out. And I'm a big believer that in order to be effective, I have to go live what I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
I have to live it and apply it and integrate it and embody it and activate it in the world. And so that's so important. Like, it's such a good conversation.
And if you think about it, like, take that doubt comes, I think everyone gets that,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're trying to become something, if
Yeah.
you really want to make a difference in the world, if you're trying to achieve something, right?
Yeah.
And if you think that the idea of like going to get a college degree, like a doctor or a lawyer or an architect, but if you stay with the concept of the doctor, right? They learn the stuff, and then they gotta go do residency,
Mm-hmm.
or like, and I think they call it there's residency and there's another one, another level. I don't know. Anyway, they have to go and see if what they learned they can actually apply it,
Yeah.
so that they can then
Yeah.
be considered a doctor.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like that, and it's like, it's definitely much harder,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's the reason why I wanted to sort of step away from it all, because I wanted to make sure that whatever I was going to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm actually living it, right?
Yes.
And
Thank goodness.
right, and I'm actually finding now that this experience, especially within a relationship, because there's lessons that you can't learn anywhere else, but in the context of an interpersonal relationship.
Oh yeah, I always say that relationships, partnerships, or mom-dad relationships are the two relationships that if you chose them when you came to be in this incarnation and in this experience, that you were immediately choosing the deepest personal and spiritual growth of your life. Like, they are the things that will grow you faster and deeper than anything else.
And you can't gain that growth except there.
Yeah.
You have to be in it.
Because you're choosing, let me put somebody in my space all the time who can constantly show me what is irritating me, agitating me, what needs to shift, what needs to change, what needs to grow.
And then you got to shift from it's you.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, they have their things.
Yeah.
But it's you.
Yeah.
Right?
If you become a master at this, what you really master is the ability to constantly bring the mirror back around and be like, what do I need to look at? What is here for me? Where do I grow? Instead of being like, you got to change, you got to work on this, you got to do this, right? It's just like that whole personal conversation.
Right, exactly. And it's like, what I've noticed is like, it's as I willingly, or sometimes I go kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not so willing. But life has a way to put you there.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming a better coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm becoming a better parent. I'm becoming a better partner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm becoming a better person, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it really, really is true. The more, like, it's almost like when you get into these disagreements with that person, sometimes you want to take a notebook and just, everything they're telling you, you just want to say, okay, you are, okay? And you just kind of want to write it down, because it's really just, you're just seeing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it. I've called my partner certain things when in reality, how am I doing that?
Mm-hmm.
How is that me?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to do the work and be like, okay, how am I being selfish?
Mm-hmm.
How am I being heartless in this in this scenario?
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's what I'm seeing, I must be doing it some way, shape, or form.
Well, there's some point of reference in order for you to see it. You're like, oh, I have a point of reference for that. That's why I know it and I can acknowledge it.
And that's why the other person's there. So any moment that you start, you're being called something or you're being thrown something, chances are it's coming from the other person, and that's what the other person has to do. And the same thing with you. The moment you start throwing something at someone and you call them something, it's time to look at yourself. And it sucks. And it's hard.
Yeah, it's growth. That's what it is. It's growth. And growth doesn't always, I mean, how many of you when you were kids, it's like you would have those moments, you're like, oh, my leg hurts, and your parents would be like, it's growing pains.
Right, it's growing pains.
It's growing pains. And it's like, yeah, that's life, and that's what you're here for. You're here to grow into this high version of this is who I really
possible
am.
Version of you.
And so, trust me, oh my gosh, growth it's not pretty. it's not enjoyable all the time.
Not at all.
Though the results of it are incredible.
You know, I'm seeing this therapist, and he's amazing. He said to me, I had a session yesterday, and I had just come from a very difficult moment and another opportunity for growth. And he's like, you know, man, just take a deep breath in and get back at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, get back at the gym? It's like, well, yeah. Well, what do you mean? It's like, well, why do we go to the gym? Well, we go to the gym, we want to work out, we want to improve the look and physicality of our body and improve it and make it better, and so it's healthy, right? And then he goes, but isn't it painful? It's like, yeah, it hurts, but you still go, right? It's like, and I said, well, yeah, you're going to get the results, because you go because you know you're going to get results. Like, well, you hope you're going to get results.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's like, you may not even see results. If you start today, you may not even see results for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But you still go. So get back out there.
You believe the result is on the other side of that thing.
So you go, even though it's painful, even though it hurts, you're going to see the result eventually. But you go without knowing that you're going to get the results. You know? So it is painful. This process is painful. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes you want to hit the eject button.
Yep, that's true.
But you can't. But there is a concept called the wounded healer. I know you know this, you know, and there is a concept where as you're willing to go into your own wounds and you're willing to do your own healing, and like you said, if you teach it, right, and you help others with theirs, as you heal others, as others heal, you heal, you know, and I take that very seriously. I really find myself that I am a wounded healer.
Yeah, well, everything you're saying is what is so valuable. So be clear, like, all the value in this is not Angel sharing, like, and it's painful and it's this and it's that, because we can all resonate with that, right? Somebody's sitting there watching me like, yeah, it sucks, you know, like, we can all do that. What you're sharing that's so valuable about this for you is that you are doing the work. That's why you have experienced the discomfort, because you chose to do the work. Otherwise, we learn things, we read things, we take things in, and we go, oh, that's cool, yeah, I get that, right? People will say, you know, if you did this and this and this in your life, blah, 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 and you'd be like, yeah, I know. Well, why do you know that? Because you read it somewhere, because somebody told you this, because you heard an inspirational talk or a video or whatever. I know, but you don't know it until you live it. That's how you know something. And in the living of it, right, that's what we started this conversation around. It was like that integration, that thing of like, I'm going to embody this thing. I want to show up authentically. And the way I show up authentically is I bring that in and I start to walk it out. I become this version of me, right? I see the things that pop up, and then I go, okay, so these are areas of improvement. So now I'm going to shift this, and now I'm going to become this, and I'm going to take this new identity on, and I'm going to walk this out. And that's where your authenticity comes. Isn't that so strange?
Yeah, it is.
Like, living a new identity is where your authenticity comes.
Right. It's wild. It's the breaking down of who you were and then rebuilding. Not even rebuilding. It's revealing who you really are. But it needs to be broken down. I mean, Yoda said it best. You have to unlearn everything you've learned.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
And if you've seen the movie The Peaceful Warrior, did you see that one?
I haven't seen the movie. I know
of
it.
There's a book too.
Yeah. I've heard the guy talk before.
The guy tells the author, right, in the book that he called, I forgot what he called him. He called him Socrates, or I think he called him Socrates, the teacher, right? And he says in the movie he owns and operates like a workshop for cars, and like a gas station. And he goes, yeah, you have a lot of knowledge and you seem to know a lot. It's like, but do you know the difference between knowledge and wisdom? And he's like, well, what is it to you? He's like, well, do you know how to clean a windshield? Well, yeah, I know how to clean a windshield. And then he throws him the squeegee and he goes, the difference in knowledge and wisdom is doing it.
Yeah, it's experience.
So you need to do it. And a lot of times, yes, they say knowledge is power, but I disagree. I think knowledge applied is power.
Yeah.
And so we have this thirst, the more I know, the better I am, and it's absolutely not true. The more you know, the more you know. That's pretty much it. It doesn't make you anything. Like, you have to apply it. And so a lot of times, especially in the spiritual world, we want to go and we want to do the things, and we want to do the meditation retreats, and we want to do the ayahuasca, and we want to do the spiritual journeys, and we want to meditate, and we want to do all these things. We want to learn them, and we want to do, but we're not actually doing them. We're just showing up, and but we're not actually doing anything with it.
Yeah, because if you don't walk out of that meditation and start walking your life into the new version of who you are and that you created in the meditation, if you don't have the ayahuasca
Right.
experience and have this massive vision and you see and everything, but then you come out of it and you don't even know how to bring that into your real
Right.
life, then it's nothing.
It's nothing. And then
It's
you go do it again. And
yeah.
For what?
It's an escape.
Well, I'm doing the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's no
transformation
real
comes in
change,
living
you know?
it out.
Right.
That's where
And that's the hard part. And that's, I mean, one of my mentors, the founder of the company that I work for, he just did a video where it's like the difference between dreamers versus doers, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, you know, a lot of people, wherever I go and speak, they come up to me and they say, I want to do what you do. And I think I'm a good speaker and I want to do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's great. I commend you for that dream.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, are you willing to go through the things I went through to get here?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's massive failures in
Mm-hmm.
that story.
There's massive growth.
And there's massive growth
To
as a
get
result, right? And the thing is,
Yeah.
if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to go through the pain, you don't get the muscles, man.
Mm-mm.
You don't get it.
Well, and we live in a time where it's like people don't really want to talk about, and it's not to dwell on the pain. Like that's not what this is about.
No,
It's part of the journey.
it's part of it.
It's part of, like, people want to talk about healing. Let's take healing for example, right? And because you mentioned the word healing, and healing is really just releasing all of the things that make you feel like you're not in perfect wholeness and you're not in perfect health, or you're not in perfect abundance, or you're not experiencing all the love. Healing is releasing, right? Taking a pill for a pain in my shoulder is not healing.
It's not healing. That's
Healing
masking.
healing releases the block to my natural state of perfect health.
But in that healing, there's pain.
There's pain.
Like right now, I'm healing my elbows.
Yep.
I'm going on 2-3 weeks probably where it was like swollen and red and
Mhm.
hot and full of fluids. It's been painful.
But it's been healing
But
the
it's
whole time.
healing the whole
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
And it's like
We forget that about healing.
that, you know, that,
Yeah.
that healing is painful.
Yeah. It's like you
You
cut
know?
yourself, your body immediately sends a response to the wound to begin to heal it right away. Your body knows that we are supposed to be healed and whole, so it goes and does the thing. But in that journey of coming back to brand new skin, you're going to have a cut, then it's going to get scabbed over. And you guys have ever had a scab, like, you know that does not feel
It
good.
doesn't feel good.
You're like, I just want to
You
scratch
just want
it.
to scratch it.
Yeah, and if you take it off before it's totally
It's
healed,
right. It's
the
over
healing
again.
has to start over.
All over again.
And so it's like, no, you know, we got to get real about what we're saying that we want. Oh, we want this new way of living. We want this higher experience of abundance. We want to experience freedom. We want to experience love. It's like, okay,
You're going
so
to have
you're-
to let go of something.
you got to let go of it, and that can be painful.
Mhm.
Letting go of the past, letting go of what doesn't work, letting go, it can be freaking
Because
painful.
the person that you are up to this point cannot create that experience.
Mm-mm.
You have to transform into another
Mhm.
to be able to do that.
Mhm.
And the other part of it is it's like no one does this by themselves.
No.
No one does this by themselves. That's why they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Mhm.
And the school is life. So
Mhm.
who can be the teacher? Anything and anyone.
Yeah.
There's going to be a partner,
Mhm.
a friend, a
Mhm.
coworker, a boss, an experience, an
Mhm.
opportunity. Someone's going to come into your life to teach you something,
Mhm.
to help you get to that next stage of your life, right? We think we want to take pride, like I did it by myself. No one does it by themselves. No one does it by themselves.
No.
It takes a friend, a partner, a guide,
Yeah.
a mentor, a coach.
Yeah, otherwise, why are there so many billions of people bumping around on the planet?
Right.
Like, we're here to learn. You know, we're here to learn and do what you're talking about, and what this conversation has been around is like, we're here to not just learn, which learning is just remembering.
Mm-hmm.
Learning is just remembering. So when we come into contact with information or something that resonates, it's because our soul is like, this is
Recognizing
an
it.
aspect of you that you have access to. We're just reminding you.
Mm-hmm.
We're reminding you, right? And then you get to choose whether you step into that and embody it and activate it in the world.
Yeah.
And activation happens through living it out,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's powerful.
And I'm extremely grateful for all those people. Jodi's one of those people. Her
Oh.
family's been one of those people for me. Like, I'm extremely grateful because, like she says, they remind you of something that you've forgotten,
Mhm.
and it helps you to shift forward
Yes.
and to become who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And those people they're all around you.
Yeah.
I just gotta know, like, we tend to romanticize this process of growth and success and being better. It's messy.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't look good.
Sometimes
Sometimes
it doesn't
feel
look
good.
It doesn't feel good. It's like, so if you want the success in whatever area of your life that you want, that could be any area of your life, be prepared to experience failure, growth, pain, mess, whatever. Like, you can't have it without it.
Well, yeah, it's just
You
like
know?
there were times, no joke, I would have avoided this conversation at all costs, because I was like, I don't want to talk about messy, and I don't want to talk about, pain, because I've had plenty of that in my life. I've had plenty of that, and I don't want to experience it again, so I don't want to talk about that. Tell me about how I can grow with ease and grace and flow. Well, here's the thing.
I know.
Here's the thing. You can grow in ease and grace and flow. You can. The challenge is that you must initially go through a process where when the breaking off happens, it becomes uncomfortable. We're just talking about discomfort here, right? And it's like you hear people say, well, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's true.
That's true.
Because if you get riled up every time life gets uncomfortable, you're going to be stuck for a long time, because you'll avoid the discomfort over and over again, because we are naturally triggered to avoid pain and hurt.
We run.
Yeah, it's like whatever is painful and hurtful, I'm going to avoid that. The thing is that we don't have to only grow through pain and hurt. Initially, we may choose that. Initially, we may have issues come up in our life because, we're here. We really are here to become this massive, incredible version of ourselves. And it may take a little bit of pain and discomfort at first for us to get there. As we go through the process, as we level up in our life, yeah, it becomes easier and more graceful, and there's flow. Why? Because we've learned to accept what growth looks like.
And then you get in the flow.
Yeah.
Like, look at the athletes that get in the zone, they get in the flow, but they've been training for years and years and years and years. I mean, I'm reading the book called the 12-week year, and in there he talks about, when does the athlete become great? When does the athlete, like an Olympic athlete, achieve greatness? Is it the moment they win their gold medal? Is it the moment where they break that record? Right? Is it the moment where they achieve the fact that they made it to the Olympics? When do they achieve greatness? Most people would say the most common answer is, when they got that medal, when they break their record, when they win their 11th gold medal. It's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's when you see the evidence of their greatness.
Yeah.
But their greatness was achieved the moment they started training, the moment they said, yes, I'm doing this, the moment they did that extra practice, or they made the decisions and made the choices to be great. Not when they win their medal, not when they get the result. That's just the evidence of it.
That's the evidence. That's so good.
And if this is something you're interested in doing, I hope this conversation helps you. Reach out to Jodi. She'll be tagged in this video. She's an excellent coach. She's doing her thing. I'm always available. But just know that it's not going to be necessarily initially grace and flow and beautiful. You will get there.
You will move into that.
You will move into that.
Yeah, sometimes it gets ugly. And you know what? Are we both still here?
Yes.
Still doing the thing?
We're still here.
We're still here doing the thing. And sometimes life is a roller coaster, and sometimes, some of us love roller coasters and some of us hate them. I hate them personally. However, it's the ride, and it's taking you, and it's evolving you, and it's growing you and shifting you and bringing you into a bigger space. Always. It's for expansion. And if you want to expand, just understand what you're saying yes to. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be hideous and horrible. It just means like, no, I'm choosing that. That's what leads you to grace and flow.
Yeah, there you go.
Is choosing the growth. Because growth is here to happen for you either way. Just know that.
It's going to happen.
You're here to grow. Get ready for it. So some of you may be smacked on the head by life over and over again, pushing you, and you're kicking and screaming, and you're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to grow. And it feels painful because we're resisting it. But when we choose it and we go, you know what, I'm going. I'm doing this because I know what's on the other side of this. I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
And I'll let my muscles get sore and all that kind of stuff, and I'll whine about it the next day and be like, oh, I'm so sore.
But I'm still going to go again.
But I'm going again.
Yeah.
And then you get the results and you're like, yeah, look at me. That's the grace and the ease.
And the thing about it is that maybe you just need to change your expectations of what the journey towards success looks like.
Yeah.
Because maybe it wasn't shown to you that there is, because think about it, like, our parents want to protect us. They may say, don't argue in front of the children. Let's not argue in front of the children because we don't want them to see that. And then you get to relationships and you expect a perfect flowy relationship without arguments.
Yeah.
And then there's an argument, it's like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. This isn't supposed to happen.
This is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe you weren't shown, and so maybe what we're inviting you to do here is change your expectations of what the journey to success looks like.
Actually, this is what I'm going to say. Take all of your expectations off.
There you go.
Because then you cannot be disappointed, right? If you remove expectation, then you don't have to go through life with massive disappointment when it doesn't work out the way you want it to. That's what surrender looks like, which is another conversation.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, just take them off. Take the expectation off. I have to remind my kids of this stuff, which they're all adults now, but it's like they'll say, I talked to so-and-so and this is what happened there. I'm like, remove the expectation. You know what? You'll be so much happier when you did.
Yeah, but at the very least, just know that your journey towards success in whatever area that is will have an element of struggle and mess and hurt and pain. But then again, how bad do you really want it? You know? How bad do you really want it? If you're willing to go through
And you
that.
know what else it's going to have on the other side of it? Is like joy and fulfillment and gratitude and like so much love and so much pride for what you've created and where you've grown into. Just last night I was sharing with a group of people that I actually do work with, and I kind of posted in the group and I said, I read an email today, and there was a time when I would read stuff like this that would be like, ooh, what, and I read it and I was like, oh my God, look at how much I've grown. Because this just showed me like, oh, I don't resonate with that anymore. Like I'm actually thinking over here, and I'm grateful that that's the new person that I am. I'm not mad about that. I'm like actually like, thank you for showing me that. That's so cool. So when you get to see your results, it's like, aren't you so excited when you see results?
Very excited.
So that's what's really waiting for you. That's what's really calling you forward, is the potential of your result. All the other stuff, it'll be whatever it's going to be on the way, and it doesn't feel good sometimes. Then you get to the side and you're like, it was totally worth it.
So if you've been a part of my life and you've helped me grow, thank you so much. And for those of you that I haven't met yet, I thank you so much.
Yes.
So
same.
Thank you, Jodi.
Yeah, thank you, Angel.
I'm glad we did this.
We met like in the most random way. Who would have ever thought this is what we'd be sitting here doing?
Isn't that crazy?
So great. Life is amazing. Life is a miracle. So stay tuned. Who knows what else could be coming from Jodi and Angel.
There you go.